So I'm using this new AI tool. It's called Crisp, KRISP. What it does is supposedly it cancels background noise. Um, so I wanted to test it because previously on this pod, when I type, you can hear it. So I'm gonna unplug my microphone. So give me a second in case this doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep. Sounds
Okay,
different
so
already.
I'm gonna start typing and can you hear it
Uh-uh.
now?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm typing like really. I was banging. I
Were you
kind of
really?
increased. Yeah, I was
Okay.
banging on the keyboard. And I when I listened back to the recording, it was pretty obvious that there was keyboard. So
Really
that's pretty
interesting.
cool.
Okay.
I assume it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I assume it works with this microphone as well. Like, can you hear anything?
Yeah, I can a little bit.
You can a little bit.
Yep.
Interesting. So it's worse with the microphone.
That's
That's
interesting.
interesting. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty cool. Basically, they give you 90 minutes free of noise canceling a day, and then you have to pay. So
That's pretty good.
yeah, I like 90 is enough for me. I'm not paying for
Yeah.
anything.
Wow, that's crazy. That's cool. I like
And
that a lot.
it gives you these weird stats at the end, which are totally useless, but kind of fun to look at. Like you talked for 1% in the meeting, or you did this and this. Like
No way.
yeah,
It's just free. Dude, that's what blows my mind with this AI stuff. It's like 90% of it is free. Or you can,
yep,
use it for free for a decent amount of time. Like
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
yeah. So, anyways, shout out to Crisp. Definitely use it, especially if you're going to be in a place where you need some background noise canceling. Works
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
clearly. So
Yeah. That's good.
yeah, don't do public math, but do public testing. So there's our little proof for you.
Yeah, there you go. Very nice.
All right.
All right,
Ye-
quick catch up. What have you been up to this week? Anything new?
let's see. I mean, I was going through some heavy due diligence overhaul with
Yep.
ARM5 e-commerce job. Um, dude, it was one of those moments where the more you know, the less you know. Yeah. So
Yep.
I felt like, man, I'm on top of the world. I'm 19 years old. I am buying huge businesses, like I feel great. I have an important job. I'm doing well at it and like everything's going great. And then, you have I had a 4-hour call and everything just kind of it was unveiled. It's not like I was doing things terribly wrong. There was just some big holes that we need to fill moving forward.
For
Um,
sure.
and yeah, it was unveiled to me the extent that I don't know, and I'm just like, wow, like they're in the due diligence process. There are people in most deals like bigger than 500,000. I would say you have someone who comes in and at least does a certain level of due diligence. Like that's what people recommend. And
Yeah.
there are people whose sole job is to do like 10% of the due diligence process, and they just do that really really well, and they focus on that.
Yep.
And so it's really difficult. Yeah, so that's been an update for me. I've been working on that. We're hopefully, I don't know if I've told you about this, but we've been on hold for 3 deals since like December.
Yeah.
Not on hold. That's how long these deals are taking to close because of the way they have to get financed. There's nothing wrong. It's just that's the normal process. But we're hoping to close one or two of them within the next week or so. So really close. That's going to be exciting for me and for everyone.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's exciting.
Okay, well, I think there's one big thing that we need to talk about from you. You cold emailed Sean
Yep.
Purry.
Yep.
He's host of My First Million. You want to run through the story?
Yeah. So, Sean hosted My First Million, which is kind of, how me, Camden and I got on this call. That's why we're doing this, is that's kind of the inspiration for it. Cool podcast that really just go over business ideas run by two guys. So you got Sam and Sean, both successful entrepreneurs out of San Francisco, kind of like in that tech world. Super cool guys. So, for us, I think they're kind of the ultimate connection. I think it's the world that we want to enter into.
Yep.
And so, that's kind of why we listen to try and like learn the lingo and learn, just kind of, the way around that industry. And so I've called, email, DM'd, uh, Twitter message, like all the above, to both Sam and Sean, and I've never gotten a response. I've applied to
Yep.
jobs through them, like nothing, like no response. But last week, I, I gave another shot. I sent a cold email to Sean, and one of the podcasts from last week, he kind of had gone over just basically saying how he likes being around young people, and how maybe his circle now, he's in his mid 30s, is maybe a bit boring and not quite into the new stuff. And he basically said, young people are just fun to be around. Like they're naive, but it's kind of a good trait because they're not scared to get in anything, and they also are always up to date with like the latest and greatest tech that maybe he's not aware of.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of in the world that we hang around. Like I think we are kind of into that kind of thing. So I sent an email. I basically said, hey, I've got two buddies. I've got Camden, who his current job is acquiring seven-figure businesses. He also works is doing sales for a security startup. And then we've got Eric, who's a TikTok guy. He's got millions of followers. And then you've got me. I'm the flipper. Basically, this is our application to be your young friends. Like, let's be friends. Here's my proposal. We'll do a podcast, or we'll hop on a Zoom call every other week. Your role can be whatever you want. You can sit there and listen. You can sit there and chime in. You can literally do whatever. But that's a proposal to you. And he responded, and he was like, "Cool. Let's give it a shot."
Yeah. But okay, I want to read the actual cold email because I think it's better than you're giving yourself credit for. But first, I need to throw Sean a lifeline. So you said Sean is in his mid-30s. Sean is actually 34. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but mid-30s doesn't kick in until you're at least 35. So,
really?
So Sean is he's in his early 30s. So I just wanted to clarify that, in case he's watching this video. And won't respond to our next cold emails. Anyways, so here it is. He said, subject line, U21 application, so under 21. Short, sweet, interesting. Like, what is this, right? Like, I think he kind of made the connection in his head, like, okay, this is from the podcast that I mentioned. So Connor goes, what's up, Sean? I've got a crew of 3 buddies, all in college. We would like to formally apply to be your U21 friends. And by the way, the format of this is lots of, like, short sentences followed by a space and then short sentences. So it's really easy to read. And he goes, I'll give you a short rundown. Eric, TikTok boy, link to his TikTok, 2.8 million followers, grew 1 million since the start of the new year, 21 years old. Boom. Camden, the genius, current job is acquiring e-com brands for 7 figures, also does sales for a cybersecurity startup, 18 years old, which I'm actually 19. So
yeah, sorry.
who knows? Maybe the only reason Sean responded was because I was 18 and not 19. So.
Yeah.
And then me, which is Connor, the flipper. I buy and sell golf clubs. I also do sales for an HR tech company, 21 years old. And then a couple spaces. We know you don't leave your house, ... So here's our proposal. We will hop on a Zoom call once every other week. We will prepare a list of topics that we are interested in and share them MFM style. Your role, whatever it wants to be. Similar to how you just want to be around young, naive kids, we want to be around successful and wise entrepreneurs. You in. Peace, Connor. Genius. Genius, man. So where are we right now?
So yeah, Sean responded like within an hour or two, and said, hey, he CC'd Ben, his producer and assistant, and was like, I'll have Ben set it up. That's where we're at. So that was on Thursday afternoon. Haven't heard back yet. So the game plan for now is
wait, which Ben set it up?
He CC'd Ben Levy, like the producer.
Oh no, Ben Levy's different than the producer Ben.
Oh, well.
So there's producer Ben who has his own podcast and is always on the MFM calls, and then Ben Levy is kind of Sean's business partner, by the way.
Okay, it's definitely not Ben Levy then. I don't think
it's not.
I think it's producer Ben.
Ben Wilson.
Yeah, it's just I think his email is just ben@seanpurry.com, so I'm pretty sure it's producer Ben.
I feel like it's Ben Levy. So actually after this, I went on a whole like Sean Purry rabbit hole. So I have some interesting things to share, but one thing that I'll pull out now because we're talking about it is he said he hired Ben Levy. I'm just gonna call him Ben Levy, and he has him as like right-hand man. So for example, he'll go through all of Sean's emails or tweets and then set up meetings with the people that he thinks are interesting. So that's why I thought it was. That's why I thought it was him.
Interesting. So it probably is him.
Yeah, I think it is. It is.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Any other thoughts, or do you want to hear what I found on Sean?
No, let's dive into Sean. I want to hear it. Okay.
Most interesting thing, I'll just lead with it. I found his e-commerce store. All right.
Oh, what? No way.
But I can't take credit for it. You might guess who found it. Can you guess someone that we?
Akshay.
Yeah. So Akshay Kadam is his name on Twitter. Deadcoder0904. Known as I think the startup kid on Telegram. By the way, his Telegram group is up to 35 now. So essentially, he tweets all the time. He uses it kind of like his notepad. That's who this kid is. a kid. I don't know. I think he's in his mid-20s. He's really smart. He can program, like consumes ton of content, and is like just a giant knowledge sponge. So I've messaged him a couple times. He's really smart and cool. Um, and so the name of the store, by the way, so Akshay made a post on Reddit. And so when I was Googling it, that's how I found it. And my previous attempts were to go on, like in Arizona, we have the AZCC, so it's the Arizona Corporate Commission. And it's like a list of all the businesses, and they have the same thing in every state. And so you can search them. Like you don't need to have any access. You can just go and search them. And so I went to the California one, thinking that Sean's gonna register it here. And I searched his name and tried searching like anything that I thought he'd relate to. I couldn't find anything. So that's my past tries. This time I just went to Google, found this Reddit post, and it's so funny. You see, like every couple months, this post was kind of old. Every couple months, there's like someone from Google, listens to My First Million, wonders what the e-com store is, and ends up at this post, and so they make a comment. So his brand is called Bums and Roses, so you can look it up. He used to have another name, Little Bum Bums, I think was the old name. And the way that this kid found it was when you tweet, someone replies to your tweet, you can hide their reply. And so Sean was looking to hire someone for his e-commerce company, which, by the way, I think I applied for that. I don't know if you remember this. This was like maybe 6, 8, 10 months ago. And
Okay.
someone replied being like, no way, like Little Bum Bums is hiring, and Sean hit it. And then this kid Akshay was able to, I don't know how he figured out how to do it. I don't know, but he figured out how to reveal it. So that was pretty
No way.
interesting. So I was on their Instagram. I don't know. Are you on the site?
Yeah, I'm on the site right now.
Okay, so just give us like a 2-second summary of what it is.
Baby clothing, and all the
Yep.
clothing has roses on it.
Basically. Yep. So I was on their Instagram, and I've always been curious. He never talks about his family very much. Never talks about his wife. There was one post on Instagram where it looks like there's two women. One of them's kind of like maybe Sean's age, a little bit older. The other's like in her 20s, which I don't know. I don't know the exact age, but one of these could be Sean's wife. And so I think he's mentioned that his wife also has an e-commerce business, or maybe I found this. I don't remember exactly when I was researching Sean. And so I think it's possible that his e-commerce business is really he helps his wife run it. I think his wife probably does like, the branding and that kind of stuff, and Sean just like does the operation stuff. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I've talked for a while. What do you got?
Dude, this is these products are pretty shitty.
Really?
Like, I just cannot believe that this does well. Yeah, like, I don't know. What do you think about it? Do you think it looks
Well,
good?
do you have SimilarWeb installed? The
No, I
extension?
don't. Uh-uh.
Okay, so when I went on, I think it had pretty decent traffic. I think it was
Wow.
enough to show up. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
I can look in a sec. But here's what I think. If you scroll down, you'll actually see it's made of like bamboo. So this is like special
Mm,
material thing. And so I think that's how
yeah.
they were able to be successful.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, that's
So
fair.
they got that niche. They nailed it. And I don't know, like clothing's always kind of a mystery to me. It seems like low margins and hard to acquire customers, but I guess they have a pretty good following on social. So
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna retract my statement because the page I was on was all just clothing with roses. Like that was the
okay,
print, and I was like, "What? This is horrible." But now, yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the other collections. Like
you
there's
found
just
something else. Okay.
plain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just like so, this is more than just like a weird print clothing. It's just basic clothing. Also,
Yeah.
like solid color, crew necks, sweatshirts, all the above. One thing,
Yep.
if I was Sean, one thing I'd improve is the product photography. It's like kind of all over the place. You've got like completely different angles, completely different backgrounds, completely different lighting. Like, yeah, I think if it doesn't even have to be the best. It just has to be uniform among the whole site. So that, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You
something I
know,
would change.
that it might be something where he's just like, I don't really care to maximize this. It's working. I don't need to
Yeah.
squeeze it for every drop it's worth. So
Yep.
that's why you should hire someone like me and Connor. Um,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
but but yeah. So there's definitely stuff he can improve. So I used SimilarWeb. He had 100K traffic in both December and January. So that's pretty solid. Um, for an e-commerce site, yeah. So that's got considerable scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
What numbers would I guess? I should have compared this to some of my other things. By the way, something interesting, 62% of the traffic is from Argentina. So I
Hmm.
thought his wife was probably Indian because I don't know, maybe some comments he made, but maybe his wife's from Argentina.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's possible. So she's marketing there, and then 5% Canada, the rest is US. So that's an interesting insight. And I was gonna say, based on this, he's probably making, I don't know, a couple million in revenue a year, I'd say. I don't know what the profit margin's on for closed because we don't really focus on that. So I feel like it's nothing too big. I think he's mentioned in the past that if he could go back, he wouldn't do the e-coms thing.
Yeah.
But segue into the next section that I want to talk about. Why did he start his e-commerce thing? So 2 years ago, 2021, he did this thing called All Access Pass. And what is that? So basically, he sent out a daily email for a couple weeks, I think. He shut it down. So he got a ton of paid subscribers for this. I think it was like uh, $250 a month or something like that. I could be getting the numbers wrong, but it
Wow.
was considerable. And he got a considerable amount of people just because he was already kind of well known on social media, through the podcast. So what is this All Access Pass? So he did three things. He said one, he's like, the whole point of this is just to get a ton of stuff going, like, build in public and that kind of thing. So he did three things. He did one, he raised his fund, which I think you've probably heard him talking about. He doesn't talk about it much anymore, but basically he raised like $3 or $4 million to invest to do angel investing. Second thing was the e-commerce business, and the third thing was I don't remember what the third thing was, but one thing that he did along with the e-commerce business was he worked with this guy. So Acquire.com, you sent me a link from Acquire.com. Do you know any info on it about
No,
what
I don't.
what it actually is?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so it's basically just like a buy and sell business site, except it's
Okay.
a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
more premium where you need to have a membership in order to contact anyone, in order to see any details. Like you have to pay, I think it's like a couple $100 a year, or there's higher tiers. Anyways, and so the guy who started it wanted to get more publicity. He said to Sean, "Hey, let's buy a 5K business ourselves and give it away to one of your Twitter followers." And
Yep.
Sean tweeted this and made it look all like spontaneous. And essentially, what happened is a ton of other people were like, yeah, I'm willing to pitch in some money. So he got 100K, $100,000 in total raised to buy someone a business. And so they had to have a contest to figure out who's going to get it. And so this kid Daniel, he's the one who won. Daniel Scott Mitchell, which by the way, I sent him an email. I copied you on it. He hasn't
Yep.
answered. I don't know if he's going to. Um, I'm not sure what his story is. Basically, let me summarize his application. Sean said his application is better than 99% of other ones. So I sent you a link where the Sean links the application. It's just a Notion page. He's got a video on it and some pretty
Yep.
interesting stuff. His background is like he's worked for Tesla, worked for Rivian. He was in his 20s, like an engineer by trade, but an entrepreneur at heart. And he basically pitched him. He won, so he got to buy this $100,000 business. He bought a Shopify app, which I think at this time was pretty popular, and it was one of the more common ones. That was what Sean wanted him to buy, like that, or there was one other category. So he bought it, and he said, one of his pitches was, "I'm going to build in public." And this was in like April, beginning of year 2021. Since November 2021, this kid has not tweeted about it. And so I emailed him. That was one of the things I said in the email. If you saw, what is going on with the business? Like all of a sudden he just
Yeah.
dropped off.
Yeah, yeah.
From what I could tell, he was struggling a little bit.
Mm.
But like all of a sudden he just dropped off. Like no tweets, like hardly any tweets at all, and then no tweets about this at all. So something really interesting. But also I thought it'd be interesting to talk to this kid. Like you convinced Sean, one of the hardest people to convince to give you $100,000 to buy business. So
Yeah. No, I think that's a good email. Yeah, I think you sent me that page earlier this week. I was scrolling through. It was a good application. And he was 19 or 20 at the time of the application and had worked for Tesla, Rivian, and there's one other, and had, by the way he made it sound, like who knows to the extent of what, but it sounded like he had worked on some pretty big projects, like launching a new vehicle kind of project.
yeah. By the way, I'm gonna add you to my page with all my research on Sean, so you can access it. I don't know if you get an email,
Cool.
but I'll you just ask me later if you don't have it. Okay, and then
Yeah, I got it.
know
I got
I've talked a lot. I want to touch on one other thing real quick.
Sweet.
So the other thing is, I don't know if you've heard on the pod, Sean has talked about this Milk Road kid who he said was just like, total idea guy, throwing a ton of ideas in the Slack, somehow convinced Sean to let him into the Slack. he was tired of him doing this, so he said, okay, just focus your energy outward, sell a bunch of partnerships for us. Do you remember this?
Yep.
Okay, so essentially, Sean was like, I just want to get rid of this kid. Not really, but he was like, I don't have time to deal with this. And this kid just starts selling everything like left and right, great deals, filling up the ads for the newsletter. So I found him. I've previously looked for him twice. I finally found him on LinkedIn, and I think it's because they sold the company. And
Mm.
so he now like marked that he's been working there since June. And so there's only like 15 people, and I figured it was this guy. So I messaged him on LinkedIn. He replied to me today. He's from the Netherlands, by the way, which is pretty interesting and kind of a good thing to note. He said, let me read you my cold LinkedIn message. I said, "Are you the Milk Road kid Sean mentioned on MFM? Question mark. We're both in the Netherlands. Dot dot dot. I had something interesting happen from cold emailing Sean. Dot dot dot. Can we chat? Question mark." And he said, "Haha, yeah, man. Like that's me. You've got me on the hook with your cold email story, and let's find some time next week to chat. I'm in the U.S. at the moment, which is pretty funny, but he's
Huh.
usually in the Netherlands." I said, "Nice to meet you," and then he hasn't responded. So we'll see if we set that up. But I think that's a pretty interesting connection.
Yeah, dude, that connection's awesome. Yeah, I think the point that me and you are both at is like, okay, we sent the cold email, which I think we both have reached out multiple times. I personally never really thought past the cold email. Like, you know, now we've got the response. It's like, well, shit. Like, now we gotta like, come up with something good. We gotta have a good call. So yeah, I think I
Yeah.
love the idea of just reaching out to people who have been around Sean and like, getting some ideas. Also,
Yep.
with the Milk Road kid, that's awesome you found him because even aside from the Sean thing, I'd love to connect with him. We should bring him on a
Hmm.
call one day,
Yep.
and hear about like him selling because he just sounds like a beast, and that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the approach that I want to take. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
If
going and getting sponsorships for emails is like that's hard. That's hard. So yeah, we got to talk to him about that.
Yeah, I think so. If Sean gives you praise, you deserve it. So that's I'm sticking with that. By
Yep.
the way, I mentioned to you, I think I told you, I've been emailing universities and trying to find cool people. Basically, it's cold emailing them, and I mean, you thought my email was pretty solid, and I think I emailed maybe 15 people. I filled out some contact. The only person who responded to me was a guy that I connected with on LinkedIn from MIT. So not even a professor, like this guy who runs this internal messaging service for the
Hmm.
kids. He said, "Hey man, like unfortunately this service is only for MIT kids. I'm thinking, we thought about expanding it outside that, but maybe if I test it, you'll be one of the first ones. Clearly you're an entrepreneur." And he gave me like a winky face, and I was like, "Cool, okay, this guy understands." So I said, "Hey, is there any chance you can introduce me to someone without putting me into the system?" So I don't know what's going wrong with the emails, why no one's answering. Maybe I shouldn't have sent them over the weekend, but I think I'm gonna try
Mm.
to redraft a new email, keep going, hit up some more schools. My one of my friends suggested to message kids instead, just find kids.
Yep.
Clubs. I've tried messaging clubs, so I might go back for more of that.
Yeah, dude, I like the idea of messaging kids. Like, and I think there's kind of like you did with the Milk Road kid and with um the guy who was it
Daniel, yeah.
Daniel? Yeah, yeah, Daniel.
Yep.
Like, let's just I'll do this. I'll help you with it too. Let's just start scavenging LinkedIn and maybe even going back through the pod and like hearing people they talk about and just kind of go down the rabbit hole and just go find some kids who are early to mid 20s and just connect
Yep.
on LinkedIn and just send a message.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got to try to find them. The issue is really difficult, and it's usually hard to tell um, beforehand. Sometimes you can, but
Yep.
Um, yeah, I like it. I enjoy connecting with people. I'm willing to spend time doing it. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it. I like it too. Hey, I kind of like transitioning from that a little bit, but also this kind of plays into maybe a way we can find some like-minded people. There's
Yeah.
so this past couple weeks, I've kind of gotten into like the Forbes like 30 under 30 list.
Okay.
I've gone through the website, scrolling through. The reason I wanted to bring it up is just like quick note, dude. It's a good way. It's like a great way to get some like inspiration and think of ideas, and also just like uh, you know get some good motivation. You go on the site, maybe you can select like the industry, scroll down
Okay.
to the bottom, and there's like a bunch of like it's almost like honorable mentions kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah, and
Huh.
there's like a pretty big list, and dude, some of the companies like aren't that big or aren't that successful or like honestly like I think the idea is kind of dumb,
Okay.
and they're on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. So, that's motivating. And also, I think the people we could reach out to. There's some. I mean, they're all under 30. So,
Yep.
I think a lot of them we could
They
reach out to and
yeah.
probably get some responses.
They also have a 20 under 20 list, am I right?
Ooh, I did not know that.
Check. They have some sort of thing that's younger than 30. By the way, my whole thought on Forbes 30 under 30 is I want to get on the Forbes 30 under 30 just so that I can pretend like I don't care that I'm on the Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah, I love that.
Like I think
That's
that's
hilarious.
the ultimate baller move. Like everyone who's in Forbes 30 under 30 has it like first thing in their LinkedIn, it's like a huge deal, and I just want to be like, yeah, I guess someone put me on Forbes 30 under 30, and then just not even mention it all. Maybe that's
Yeah,
better
yeah,
play.
yeah, yeah,
Someone asked me, I'm like, yeah, like I guess.
yeah, yeah. Put it on the bottom of the resume. Like
Yeah.
you've got all these like experience. You're like, oh, and in Forbes 30 under
Unfortunately, I
30.
did make the Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
That's
Um.
hilarious. I love it. It's funny. I
Okay. Good.
actually, so I was scrolling through the Forbes under 30, 30 under 30 list, and I recognized one of the guys who like wasn't an honorable mention. He was like the face of,
Really.
I think, yeah. And I had met him a few weeks ago through school. Like when I was working here at GCU, I work with alumni and like sponsorships. One of our A kid who graduated from GCU started a brand called Electric. He started with electric skateboards and now has transitioned to electric bikes.
Okay.
And we reached out to him. He like now is sponsoring like foster kids to come to school to
Yep.
GCU for free. And so like we had a lunch with like 15 kids that came in who he was sponsoring, and he came in and spoke. And after I like went and talked to him, and I don't know, I guess we talked for maybe like 15 or 20 minutes. And yeah, he has like a killer business. He's killing it. Like, and it's
Nice.
literally like all drop shipping. Like that's how
Wow.
he started. He like
Wow.
would literally just order electric skateboards from China, rebrand them, and then sell them. And yeah, he's doing like millions in revenue. It's pretty crazy. But he's on the
Nice.
Forbes under 30 under 30 list. And yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Okay. So I'll email more universities. You email these Forbes 30 under 30. Um,
Yep.
Tag me or don't tag me. Copy me. I'll try copying you on some of these. We'll see how it goes.
Cool.
I gotta run, but good chatting.
Yep. Good chatting.
Let's hopefully the next one of these we have something to say about Sean. So
Yeah, dude, I hope so. Hey, tomorrow I'll be reaching out if I don't hear anything
cool.
at noon.
All right.